Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. What's good? So, I have a special guest here, a real good friend. This guy is the man. Like, I've seen this dude's videos. I stumbled upon it. I started watching more and more videos. And, you know, this guy, he knows exactly what he's talking about. He's like one of the realest dudes that I've seen, you understand, in the scene right now. And I got my dude, James Tusk, all the way from London, right? What's going on, James? What's going on with you?
Yeah, how you doing, man? Nice to finally. Well, we haven't met each other properly face to face for a game session yet, but it's good to connect with you over here, and yeah, hopefully give some value today to the guys listening.
That's what's up. So, so what? How did you start teaching guys how to get good with women, and you know what made you want to do this? What what was like the thing that said, okay, I gotta get out here and make this happen? How did that come about?
Yeah, so without going too far into detail, because none of us wants to hear the story, you've all got your own stories to live. But right. What was interesting, I saw Mr. Locario's breakdown of me, the good looking guy, cold approaches are getting blown out, and right. The misconception. Yeah, no, it was great though, because the misconception is, and I get a lot of flack from guys going, "Oh, James, you're a good looking dude. Right. You're in shape, blah blah blah. You don't need game," and I'd say to them, everyone's reality is different, right? My tens, I'm not going to get on fucking looks. So my backstory was I was 23, 24, stereotypical good looking guy, corner of the club, not getting laid, going, what the fuck is going on? Is this my lot in life? And I saw on YouTube, it's a now defunct company, but it was called daygame.com. One of the guys on there, not a good looking guy, but he'd stopped a girl, middle of the daytime. I didn't really even know what IOIs were at that stage, but she's flicking her hair. Right. She clearly wants to be there. And I was like, fuck, I need to be doing this shit, day games. So that began my love affair with learning game, particularly day game. That's what I love and breathe. And after a while, I started getting requests to coach. And so I've worked for a couple of big names in London. A guy called Yad, who focused on day game. And now I still do some work for a woman called Kezia Noble, but I also have recently, over the last 6 or 7 months, set up my own channel because I think I can bring a different tint to what guys are currently teaching out there on the internet.
Right, and it's interesting because what happened was when I stumbled upon your videos, I remember I saw a video where you were talking about how kind of like cold approaching is hard, like actually going up in the street and talking to women is hard, and what I really liked is the video where you showed that you were getting rejected, because I know, I already knew. I was like, when guys see you, they're going to be like, oh, what is this guy talking about? He's just getting girls because girls think he's good looking. And, I've always been saying to guys, like, look, it's not all about just your looks. And I say, of course, if certain girls, if a girl is into your look, she might, give you a little bit more attention in certain situations, but it's not all just about the look. So I thought that it was actually genius that you put that out there to show that, hey, look, it doesn't really matter, because, everybody's going to get rejected at some point, and then you're going to also get women here and there, depending on if you keep going. So, so my question to you is, how difficult do you think cold approaching is, and why do you think guys really need to learn the skill to actually, get good at it?
I think cold approaching itself is mentally hard, because, you're going out, and for a lot of men, I talk about this a lot, but as modern men, we're very lucky. If you grow up in, with a bit of money, family money, or, not in complete poverty, then really you can get through life without having to really do much of the old school, I guess, masculine stuff that men had to do, go out, hunt for fucking food, fishing, whatever it was, really graft a living. And all you've got to worry about now is really just sitting on your ass in a fucking cubicle. The problem with this is it's made men fucking soft. So right. Majority of men in the UK, brought up to be very shy. And unless they're flicking away on social media apps, or they're in a bar, fucking hammered with drinking too much alcohol, then they can't speak to a woman sober. And, that is a sorry state of mankind. So cold approach, when you address this problem and you realize it is doable to chat up women sober, it is tough, because you're unpicking behaviors from, 15, 20 years of things you'd never done. And you're kind of realigning with that masculine intent, thinking that it is okay to go and hit on a girl just because she's good looking. And you don't need to feel ashamed for that. So I think a lot of guys that I teach actually reconciling with with themselves that it is okay basically to see a girl and find her attractive and think, yeah, I actually, I'd love to fuck her, and at least go and try that on in whatever situation that is mentally a big barrier to overcome. However, when you can reconcile that with that masculine belief internally, and it's okay to do it, and then you see women responding because they love that masculine presence, then that builds the momentum. It becomes a lot easier. In terms of results though, touching back on that video, there's a big misconception that a good looking guy, he's going to get all the women. It's just not true. I mean, the industry as a whole, I'm a bit disillusioned with it. I don't really call myself a pickup artist or anything like that. I'm just a guy who likes going out and trying to get with hot girls, and I'm willing to take rejection on the chin. But the problem with the industry is, and not naming any companies, but I'm sure you can imagine some of the bigger, Hollywood production ones, they make it out to be a fucking, amazing ride with no rejections. That's fucking bollocks. And what I try and do with my channel is I put out a lot of rejections I get, because I want guys to see that even though I'm a good looking guy and I'm in shape, I get a lot of rejections. Cold approach, imagine you hit the street, some women boyfriends, some women married, some women just don't like how you look, some women's, dog died that day. So yeah, you will get results, but there's a lot more no's than yeses in this game. And I think it's about time, people like myself, and having watched a lot of your content, Mr. Locario, I know you preach a similar message whereby you've got to take rejection on the fucking chin. It's what men do. We pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves down, we get the fuck back on with it.
Right. And and what I find interesting about your content is and what I like about it is that it's very honest, because you could have just put a compilation of all of your successes and be like, hey guys, look, all you got to do is this, and then it's that easy. And I think that sort of like hurts a lot of guys just in the long run, because they see this like really like fancy highlight reel, you know what I mean, and then they're just like, well,
absolutely,
I can't do it, and I can't make that happen. So I think that's it's really good that you put that out there. So I want to ask, what do you think that is men's like biggest hurdle to overcome when it comes to just having success with women in general? Like, in your opinion, what's like, like a few things guys need to work on or do to, step up their game?
I think, to be honest, I think day game is a big thing. So by day game, people have different definitions, but it basically to me means being able to at least say hello to a girl with some intent in any situation that isn't a club or a bar. So maybe she's on the train platform, maybe she's walking in the street, maybe she's in a coffee shop. I think actually doing enough, I think it's a skill and a numbers game. So a lot of guys, they just don't approach enough. I advocate guys going out and they spend maybe 2 hours trying to talk to maybe 8 to 10 women they find attractive, and they try and aim to do that 3 times a week. So I'd advocate going out and doing this around 6 hours and around 30 new girls. That should give you enough exposure, to get better at doing this, because you're standing in front of women, and the only way at getting better to talk, with hot women is actually talking to hot women. And also it gives you enough of an exposure to the amount you're doing, because you're going to get a lot of no's because of, situations outside of your control. So I'd say that would be a good sort of beginning sort of amount to shoot for. And you don't want to, the thing with cold approach as well, some guys, they think they have to spend 10 hours a day on the street.
Right.
You don't need to do that. If you're efficient with your time, this should fit into one part of your life. If you're teaching this stuff like yourself, then it's a job, right? But for the average guy, leading an attractive lifestyle, he's got his passions, he's got his, job, he's got his staying in shape, he's got his fashion, he's got all this other stuff. So this is one string of the bow that should fit in, and you don't need to be doing this 24/7 to get good at it.
Right. And what do you think guys can do to sort of get over the nervousness or the approach anxiety that comes with approaching women on the street and stuff like that? Because that's like a huge thing that guys sort of can't get over. It's like they want to do it, but then they hesitate, or they rationalize why they shouldn't do it. They're like, oh, she looks like she's like in a rush, so what are some things that guys can do to sort of get over that hump to actually just do it? Because I see your videos and it's like you just sort of like you just go, is that an accumulation of you doing it a lot, or you sort of get used to it, or do you just push through the fear? So what are like some things that you think guys can do to get over that fear of actually doing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is this fucking bullshit in the community that you cure AA. I don't believe that's true. I think you can get used to dealing with it. So you always feel the same, that butterflies in the stomach thing.
Right.
And it's about how do you then harness that to the best of your ability. Either you can stand there and go, oh God, this is paralyzing me. Or as my friend Mark says, he's brilliant. He says, right, you use that fear as fuel. So your body never lies. It's incredibly intelligent in the way it operates. But the hotter the girl you see in front of you, the closer to, I guess, quote unquote, a 10 she is, or you're 10, right, the more you fucking have that shit yourself feeling, and the more then you should be going, that's my body's natural response going, that's fucking excitement. That's my body telling me in no uncertain terms, I need to be talking to her. Because if you see that fat girl in the corner, you never feel it. Right, so your body never lies. So
right.
use that fear of fuel would be a number one thing. And the other point you touched on, absolutely, it is an accumulation. So with all this stuff, the more you go out, the more you practice just seeing that girl and making your body move, the more you condition yourself to just being able to do it on autopilot. And again, I would encourage guys to go out and try and hit on girls in every conceivable scenario. Because once you've done it once, for example, if you approach a girl on a train station platform, you realize, it doesn't go that badly, then you know how to do it next time and you're not afraid. So, with all this stuff, it's hypothetical until you actually go out and try it. And once you've done it once or twice, regardless of the result, you're going to know how to do it. So next time it arises, you will be able to do it. And that gets you competent in every possible situation. And the best guys at day game I know are the ones who can, they're very socially calibrated. They can approach in every situation and they know how to do it. Right. And that just takes practice.
Right. And it's funny because, I always tell guys, I'm like, you got to go out there and practice and do it. And the more that you do it, it sort of like becomes a habit. You know what I mean? And it's like once you have that habit, it's like, okay, I can, keep this going and it's not as scary as they think once they actually, go out there and do it.
For sure.
Right. And also I saw another one of your videos where you were talking about masculinity, and it seems like now in today's world there's a lot of it's very feminized, and also you have a lot of things coming out with these celebrities with like the sexual allegations, and so a lot of guys out here they're sort of scared to even interact with women, or they feel like they're doing something wrong by, showing like sexual interest in a woman. So what are your thoughts on that? And and do you think that this type of environment makes it even more difficult for a guy to actually get good with like interacting with women?
No, I mean, I think it goes with that whole thing of don't really. It's a bit like, in my opinion, and people call me sexist for this, but would you really trust a woman giving you dating advice on how to date women? Because I fucking wouldn't. Right. And a bit like with this stuff, I don't really listen to what women say. Those hot women are always those very feminine women. They're always going to respond to the polar opposite of that. Which if we take that back to what that is, it's a very masculine man, a man who goes for what he wants,
right,
doesn't take shit from other people, has his boundaries, is sexually orientated in the fact that he has no shame in his intent as a man, and he appreciates a good looking girl. And I'll tell you what, if you listen to all this shit out there and make yourself metrosexual, right. God knows what's going to end up happening to you, but you're not going to get any hot pussy. It's that simple.
Right.
But I mean, I do understand in the environment with so much media attention and everyone screaming that, it's almost bad to be a masculine man. I'm saying, fuck that. Stick to your guns, because you will stand out, and whatever women say, trust me, the guys that are very masculine I know that don't even know game, they're the ones that fucking get laid like rock stars. They're the ones with the really fucking hot girlfriends. And the reason is because they're not ashamed of their masculinity. Since when was, being a man and being masculine something to be ashamed of? I don't know, but I don't pay any attention. So, I'd say really don't listen to what the mainstream media says. They don't fucking know what they're talking about. Right. And if you go to Eastern Europe, particularly where I've spent some time, the absolutely stunning Ukrainian and Russian girls, I'd recommend you guys get over there if you're based in the States, because they are women. They are, none of this feminized bullshit you get in the US where it's equal stuff. None of that. Men and women, they love that gender polarity. Women love to be women. They love dressing up. They love to take care of themselves. They expect the man to be a very masculine man. If you go over there, the very, very hot women, the the fucking Siberian supermodels. Guess what? They're the fucking masculine men who aren't going to take shit from people. So yeah, I think it's very easy to, if you listen too much to what other people say, you're going to lose your way. But yeah, just try not to. I know there's a lot of conflicting shit out there, but if you're a man, be a man. That's what you need to be doing. And cold approach and learning this is all part of it.
Right. And what type of mindset do you think men need to really have to just sort of be successful with women, in general? Because, I always tell guys, like, it starts from your mind, because whatever you think, your thoughts are going to become your actions. You know what I mean? And so I see that a lot of guys sort of, they don't have success because, they have a very like negative mindset when it comes to interacting with women, or they think like, like they're like, I don't want to look like a creep or whatever, or I feel like it's wrong to say this or do this with a woman, or I feel like these girls are going to like me. So, what's your thoughts on like, a guy sort of like with his mindset and how he thinks about the game and how he, approaches it from that perspective of his thoughts, dictating his actions. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all stems back to sort of a little bit about what we were saying before, where it's, feeling ashamed of being a man, feeling ashamed of seeing women as sexual beings. And it's actually more of an insult, I think, to assume a woman wouldn't be, potentially sexually turned on, right, by you approaching her than the other way around. I mean, it's offensive to her. Women are very, very sexual beings, and they arguably love sex more than men. I mean, we can't have multiple orgasms. They fucking can. Right. So I think this idea that you have to be this, like, really going back to that term of metrosexual nice guy where you have to befriend a woman, it's fucking bollocks. Like, you've got to be thinking as a man, your natural biology, whatever you see in the mainstream media, when you see that hot girl, strutting along with her legs out and that perfect, face and all that, it's you get this innate drive to go towards her, right? And it's coming from a sexual place. It's not coming from I just want to go and be friends with her. So I think it all stems from the guy. I think you've got to be on a level whereby you accept fully that women are sexual objects. Women love to be approached, and at the end of the day, she's having sex with someone. Right. So you can either throw your fucking hat in the ring and give yourself a shot at doing it, or you can pussyfoot around and let someone else do it. Right. But that's how I see it. I always say that rejection is better than regret. If I see that smokingly hot girl and I don't approach because I know that I find her hot, it doesn't matter if anyone else has seen me. I fucking know it. If I don't approach, at least give it a go. At least say hello and throw my hat in the ring. I feel like a fucking pussy. Right. And at the end of the day, this is your journey. So you need to reconcile yourself with the fact it's okay to go and hit on women. And stemming back to the beginning of the conversation on this is exactly the point. Modern men, we're ashamed of our desires. We've been subjugated by the mainstream media to say that it's not okay to look at a woman and want her physically. I'm saying it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Right. I agree on that. I definitely agree on that. So what are some signs that sort of like a guy can look for when he's approaching a woman that will let him know that she's actually really interested in like keeping the interaction going? Because, sometimes like guys, I think they'll approach a girl, and let's say if he doesn't see that she's like giving him too much, I guess, like, conversation, he sort of just backs away because he thinks it's over. Or like, so what are some signs that this girl actually wants you to keep talking to her? She wants you to like close the deal and get her number and everything. And what are some signs that the girl is just totally just not, into you? Like, you should just call it a day and keep it moving. So what do you look for when you're, approaching these girls?
Well, I mean, I typically go with the approach of direct game. So it's very much the case. I go up to the girl and I make it very clear verbally that I think she's hot. So right. Either I say, hey, I think you're hot because of X, Y, Z, or just I think you look good. I had to say hello, or I thought you looked good. I wanted to meet you. So what that does, it's quite divisive, because if the girl doesn't want to stick around, or if she's not interested, often she makes it pretty clear pretty quickly and leaves. And for me, that's great, because I'm a busy guy and it's very time efficient. And the girls that do stay, I'm thinking, my mindset is, if she's standing in front of me listening to me talk, as far as I'm concerned, she's interested. Right. She's completely into me. If she walks away, yeah, whatever. I think one of the biggest mistakes as well guys make is they run up and they start the conversation, and if the girl isn't investing into the conversation straight away, then they actually blow themselves out the interaction, which is stupid.
Right.
Some girls will just be a bit shy, you know, especially if they're like from the Far East, you know, like Korean or Chinese. They're very naturally shy. So if she's standing there in front of you and not leaving, and you know maybe looking down a bit but not investing much, it's just maybe because she's shy. So you know, give girls the benefit of the doubt. On the other side of it, if she's Eastern European, often you know their cultures are very different, so they're not going to be very receptive to talking to strangers. I remember being in one country in Eastern Europe and I was smiling at people down the street and they thought I was escaped from like a mental asylum because the culture is just not to do that, right? So you know, again, there's a video of me on YouTube chatting up a Russian girl where she gives me nothing for like 6 minutes, but she's standing there, a little bit of a smile. And most guys, you know, they blow themselves out again. But if you, a bit of world knowledge, if you understand cultural differences between women, which obviously the beauty of day game is you get to hit on a vast variety of women, especially if you travel with this, because it's great to travel with, then you're going to need to pick up on these nuances. I think the rule that I've taught guys to go by, especially if they're beginners and they're used to blowing themselves out because they feel a bit awkward, is this concept of concrete boots, whereby if the girl is standing there, even if you're chatting complete shit at her, if she stood there, I would just assume she's interested. If she walks off, fair enough. But if not, just keep going, because at the end of the day, if you just keep that chat going, eventually she'll hook onto the conversation or she'll leave. But either way, you're going to get to a result. I would say I would absolutely encourage you. And it's a great question, which is, don't blow yourself out, because lots of guys, whether it's on the date or in the initial interaction, they self-sabotage to protect their own ego. And that goes back to that whole issue of, fear of rejection again, which is kind of like it's something you can control.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, so when you're approaching a girl, you're talking to her, you see that she's interested in you, you know, you can kind of feel that vibe. You know, do you sometimes like just go in for like the kiss and get physical at that moment, or do you just like get the numbers and then hit her up later? Like, what's your like style when it comes to that, or is it a combination of both, or like what's your style when it comes to actually, like, I guess, escalating sexually? Is it in that moment, or do you wait, later on, or what's your style with that?
Well, I think we'll keep it purely to day game then, because if it was night game, it'd be different environment entirely. I mean, you might see me occasionally on YouTube try and go for the kiss in an interaction with the girl in the day, but that's really just for flashy game. It's not good game. Like it's pretty retarded trying to kiss a girl on the street, because it just doesn't make any sense really. It's just for the camera. But no, I'll typically like touch her a little bit in set. So one thing I do is I'll be like halfway through the conversation, hey, my name's James, and I'll just take her hand. And instead of shaking it, I'll just hold it.
Right.
And what that does, it spikes up the sort of the interaction a bit, makes it a bit sexual. Some girls, especially from Eastern Europe, will just stand there and not pull their hand away. So the entire conversation, you're just holding her hand. And that's very good at resetting that male to female polarity. Other things I typically do is step in. So you create that sort of really like intense effect where you're standing really close to an inherently, that gap, if it's a close gap between male and female, where you're eye to eye, that's going to create that sexual element as well to it.
Right.
On the date itself, I think one of the keys is, you've done, especially this is why I love day game, because the attraction, all the attraction stuff's done on the street in 5 or 10 minutes. You get the texting, she comes out, and you've got to be thinking, right, that's game on. And I think a lot of maybe beginner mistakes, included what I fucked up on for a long time, was just thinking I had to do all this stuff, all these stupid stories and all this stuff on the date, when actually it's all been done. We've had a sober conversation for 10 minutes on the street. We've exchanged details. We've had the messaging back and forward to sort out the logistics. I've set up the date near my house, and the mistake I didn't make was escalating hard and fast. But actually now, it's you've got to assume it's game on, and you escalate very quickly, because why wouldn't you? It's congruent as well. Like, imagine from her position, some guy comes up to her in the daytime in a coffee shop, calls her hot, starts a conversation, in her mind, she says, she goes back to her girlfriends and goes, we just had this amazing connection or chemistry, which is basically code for you running good game.
Right.
And then she comes out on the date, and the most congruent thing is to continue that and be the player guy that might try and have sex with her in the toilet after like 20 minutes or take her back home in half an hour. Right. It's actually weirder if you don't do that. So she's expecting, think of the manner that you met her with direct day game. She's absolutely expecting it to be game on. So I think that's something guys should remember as well, is you should be congruent the whole way through. And the text messaging back and forwards or the voice notes or the call you have should be cheeky and in line with how you met her in the day as well.
Right. That's interesting you say that too, because I think a lot of guys, they're not really understanding, or they don't even think that it's possible to meet a woman and for her to really actually want to make it happen with you, that day. You know what I mean? So they're never really into that zone. And like you were saying earlier, women they're very sexual. You know what I mean? So if they're feeling it and you're already being direct with it like that, they'll definitely they'll follow through in a lot of cases. I've been in situations like that too, where, I'll meet a girl and she wants me to take her in a bathroom, like right then and there in like the first 15-20 minutes. I'm like, damn, I'm like, shit, this is crazy. And it's like, but it's like when you never put yourself out there and you never seen that happen, it's kind of like a shock when it does the first time. But we're letting you guys know that it can happen. So just be prepared if it does, and so you won't be surprised. But last thing I wanted to ask you real quick is rejection, because there's going to be a lot of rejection when you out here talking to girls and making things happen. And there's still a lot of guys out there who they're still really afraid of rejection. Like it's like this thing they just can't get over, and that stops them from making any moves because they're scared of getting rejected. So like, what are some things that you do or that you teach your students to sort of like get over that or to deal with it and still pull through and make things happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, again, reconciling with yourself with the fact that it's okay to be rejected. In as a man, in every walk of life, in every context, you're going to get rejected, whether that's from jobs or, whether that's, losing a fucking, a bet on a sports match or maybe losing at something you play, like, if you box, if you lose a match like that. But it's how, I think what makes you a man and what makes you a decent man is how you take rejection. Whether you take that on the chin as a learning experience, understanding that failure is not permanent and it's very much a state of affairs whereby you fuck something up and you learn. And I try and encourage the students I take on to have that pro-growth mindset whereby they're always learning something, and if they, for example, if they escalate too much or too hard on a date and they lose the girl, yes, it's frustrating for, that night,
right?
But are they going to go home and sit down and list out a load of learning points and then get better for next time? Yes. If they've got their shit together and they understand how life works, yes. So it's just really leveling that in guys, that there is always something to be learned from quote unquote failure. And also I'm very honest with guys. And that's part of the reason I put up a lot of my rejections on YouTube, is I say to them, look, the industry has been completely oversold. There is no such thing as the 3 magic lines that's going to get any girl wet. It's about you understanding this is a long journey to better yourself, and there's lots of elements involved. And it's not, I don't sugarcoat it. I'm like, it's not an easy process. But if you look yourself in the fucking mirror as a man and you're determined to get where you want to go, you'll get there. And rejection, inherently is part of that journey. So I think that, I don't think there's really specific tricks and tips I give guys. It's more of an overall mindset whereby they are going to learn something. You're going to have, you're going to get knocked down on the way, but it's how you get up and dust yourself off and make yourself better after that counts.
Yeah, real talk, man. Real talk. So, James, man, I appreciate you taking time out, to come kick it with me for this interview. This is dope, man. And where can people find you? Where can they hit you up for some coaching and everything like that? Shout out all your contacts and all the other good stuff.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is James Tusk. Just Google that, and my website's project-tusk.com. You've either got the London coaching option, but preferably if you guys fancy traveling in 2018, basically I've set up a load of boot camps where it's me and I take 2 guys away. And we just go off to the best place in the world with the world's hottest women. So we're hitting in February Rio Carnival, doing a lot of Ukraine, Russia, Colombia, all the fucking hotspots. And it's just going to be us, me and 2 guys. We go out there, we get on, we have some beers, We just fucking smashed the day game. I'm going to be approaching with you as well every step of the way. We line up a shitload of dates, and then we just try and do our best to sleep our way through that country over a varying time period. So, yeah, that's the thing. If you want to check that shit out, just go on my website, project-tusk.com, and yeah, I'm sure you'll have some fun if you join.
Nice, man. So definitely, everybody, make sure you guys, subscribe to James Tusk. Also, for everyone listening, make sure you guys go to my site, badboymembership.com, where you get 45 through 90-minute audio and video dating advice tutorials every month. So, James, I appreciate it again, man. We got to do this again. When I come out to London, I'm gonna have to hit you up. We got to make something happen, all right?
No, please do, man. It'd be a pleasure to take you out, and yeah, I'm sure you do the same when I hit New York next year as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. All right, take care, man. Appreciate it.
No worries. Cheers, bro.
Peace.